I never thought I'd end up slumped behind a rusted igneous rock, watching the cascading solar flares of Alba Prime ignite the cold mountain peaks like they were the ribs of a dying giant. The heat of the sun was pinching at my back, and I could feel the sweat pooling between my shoulder blades, soaking the fabric of my combat suit. It reminded me how much I loathed this desert hellscape, but I couldn't afford to think about that now. Not with the war taking its toll like a silent parade of ghosts just waiting for the next casualty. My heart raced as I peered through the scope of my Hex, as rifle, scanning the scorched canyon floor below. We'd received intel that the Rivera bestial horde was prowling, relentless and hungry for blood, not just any blood, but mine, and the hundreds of souls who staked their survival on this barren frontier. I clicked the modulator, captivating my breath, waiting for the signal to engage. Estimates had suggested they'd come in clusters, a swarm of resentment from the planet that had once declared itself free of the federated systems. "Knack, you've got 5 of them, teetering near the west quadrant," came Zai's voice through my comm, the smooth timbre a reminder of our complicated history. Friends turned into survival whole partners, but never quite able to shake the underlying tensions. I could almost hear the smirk in her tone. "I'll take the 2 on the approach." I clenched my jaw, my finger hovering over the trigger. "I don't like it. Let them come. We have the advantage up here. We're not here to play God, Knack." "Orders are orders," she said. Her placating tone irritated the edges of my patience. It wasn't just her words, though. It was the frustration swirling like stale smoke between us. We'd fought beside each other on too many fields, watched too many comrades fall, and yet we were uneasily dangling on this tightrope of unspoken feelings. "Right orders," I murmured, rolling my eyes. Did the command center even know what it meant to live on this godforsaken world? To have your loyalty ripped apart by the whims of bureaucrats? "Your call, boss," she replied dryly. "Just try not to lose your badge out there. Definitely not getting caught by Captain Dola again." I took a deep breath, tasting the metallic tang of anticipation. The decision weighed heavy on me, more than just a calculation of tactical advantages or the safety of our crew. If I pulled the trigger, I would not just be killing another enemy. I'd also be lighting a fire underneath everything I had buried for this mission, everything I had buried for us. Havoc crested the horizon, and I spotted them, massive, hulking silhouettes stomping into view. The Rivera's exoskeletal armor glimmered eerily under the flares of Alba, a sharp reminder that they were not the clueless savages they were often painted to be. They adapted, learning and evolving with each skirmish. My heart pounded, the gravity of command wrapped around my throat. They wouldn't just be coming for us, they'd be coming for everything we once knew. Planet after planet, until there was nothing left but ash. 3 men coming in from the east, Zai's voice punctured through my thoughts. "I'll take them out, just give me the word." The pressure mounted as I registered the shift in the air around us, the energy crackling like dry brush before a fire. Each second felt heavy, stretching before me like a chasm. I glanced through the scope, zeroing in on their grotesque shapes. Teeth bared, they moved in light-footed aggression, despite their size. "You know what they say about waiting for the right moment, Zai," I whispered, reluctantly recalling the words that had saved us 1,000 times before, now swallowed by the twisted nature of our existence. "I'll divert their attention. Now or never, Knack, fight or perish." I exhaled sharply, my finger pressing the trigger. An act of defiance and resolution, sending a volley of glowing pulse bolts into the heart of uncertainty. My gunfire echoed through the canyon, merged with the frightful shrieks of the Rivera. Sparks flew as one fell, crumpling under the force of my shot, its skin exploding into a cacophony of fragmented scales that gleamed like mirrors in the sun. But that wasn't enough. With every pulse, there was an unrest bubbling beneath my skin, memories clawing at the edges of my mind. The last time I had pressed a trigger, what I had lost because of it. I reloaded rapidly, a river of thoughts raging in tandem with the brutal reality ahead. Who knew how many more lives I would risk, Somehow, this wasn't just a fight for survival anymore. It felt personal. Push ahead. We need to knock them back. Zai's voice growled, filled with ardor, and I rushed as motivation surged through me. But behind that passion lay a riptide of voices we'd failed to save, the ghosts of battles long fought. I could already see them lining up behind me, fuming for vengeance, or perhaps simple salvation. There was no stopping now. I leapt off my cover into the sun-drenched expanse of war, heart pounding with new ferocity. But deeper still lingered a question that would haunt me. Was any of this truly worth the burden of attachment? We would fight and die, indeed, united against a common foe, but as my comrades pressed forward, I couldn't help but wonder, what would it mean to truly win this war? As the canyon erupted into chaos, my heart pulsed with the rhythm of battle, each thud echoing like distant drumbeats of a dying world. The Rivera horde lunged forward, their twisted, biomechanical forms dodging my shots with fluid precision. I caught a glimpse of Zai to my left, darting between boulders, her movements a dance of ferocity and grace. She was there, her presence a tether to the fleeting hope within the turmoil, a reminder that we weren't alone in this nightmare. Incoming to your right, Knack, she shouted, throwing a thrower grenade that illuminated the air with a blinding light. It detonated, sending debris flying and the sound of rattling bones tumbling into the void. For a moment, the horde staggered, primal rage hardening into hesitation, and in that nebulous instant, I shifted my aim. As I squeezed the trigger, the pulse bolt soared and struck a Rivera directly in the chest, sending it crashing to the ground in a tumbling heap. For a flicker of time, satisfaction quenched my thirst for vengeance, but the victory tasted bittersweet. Another horde member lunged at me, teeth bared and fangs shining, the earth shaking beneath its weight. I barely had enough time to think before I rolled behind a rock outcropping, grabbing for a grenade. The explosion sent shrapnel rocketing through the air, and the cave erupted into cries, nearly drowning out my own. I spared a glance towards Zai, who was now engaged in one combat, diving beneath the creature's swipe and driving a blade into its guttural throat. Our surroundings began to blur into a medley of dust, cries, and the searing heat of blaster fire, the chaos igniting a primal ferocity deep within me. I forced down my fear, unwilling to succumb. We need to flank them, I shouted, my voice sharp amidst the fray. Just push forward, we break their lines, Zai yelled back, determination sparking in her eyes, but doubt began gnawing at me. Hope began to slip away. I could feel it like a tightening noose. What would victory even mean? What would be left for us? As we fought in synchrony, something began to shift within the ranks of the Rivera. They were gathering into a singular mass, their exoskeletal bodies fusing together. I blinked, my gaze unwavering, as a blaring alarm pierced through the chaos. My senses heightening, emphasizing the magnetic pull toward an insurmountable anomaly. Zai, they're consolidating. I see it. Go, she urged, diving into the fray like a bolt of lightning, bullets singing around her, a soft prayer clinging to the air. Together we surged forward, Zai drawing her blaster, and I following closely behind. The cacophony of battle began muddling into a single entity, and it became clear the Rivera had something bigger in store. Instead of panicking, I felt the creeping touch of determination settle in my blood, a sense of purpose forming something defiant. Keep hitting them, I commanded, raising my rifle towards the newly formed amalgamation of creatures. As we got closer, skyscraper ghastliness washed over us. The mesh of bodies hummed and coiled like an alien serpent, pulsating dangerously, its core thundering like a heartbeat. Zai raised an eyebrow. Can we even take that thing down? We need an air blast. It could destroy the entire flank. You know, I shouted, my heart racing as pieces clicked into place. What if they are using their collective strength to power that mass? Each one draining the energy from their surroundings. We strike at the core. My pulse quickened as her eyes widened. Was this what I was meant to do? The thought of stepping into pure instinct ignited a flicker of anxious trepidation. Zai tightened her grip, the resolve burning in her voice. Then let's take it down together. With our hearts entwined in determination, we began to plot the disarray, striking with precision to pierce the heart of the chaotic mass. Pulse bolts flew relentlessly as the horde faltered, shadows of death whispering past. I swung around, taking the lead on the far side as Zai blockaded along the front. Merging our efforts, we forced our way through the chaos. The energy of the mass sent shockwaves of tremors through the earth, but we pressed forward, combining every ounce of our courage until we reached the pulsating core. It was then that I saw him, silhouetted against the backdrop of the radiating amalgamation, a dark figure cloaked in shimmering fabric, surrounded by a shimmering field of energy. His eyes were like molten embers, captivating and terrifying all at once. "I can feel you," he growled, raising his arm as streams of energy danced around him, resonating with the pulsating mass. "Who are you?" Zai gritted out, our guns raised to the figure, muscles tense to attack or flee. "No." "You don't need to know," he hissed, voice deeply resonant, filled with an echo of ancient authority. "You cannot defeat what you do not understand. Why attract destiny?" The words slipped through his lips, haunting my mind like a serpent coiling tight. This is all a game to you," I seethed, adrenaline blurring restraint. "You've manipulated them, turned them into weapons for your own desires." Desire? What more do you know? The Rivera have chosen to surrender their consciousness for something beyond the veil of our worlds, an evolution far beyond your pathetic vision. The enigma of his words cradled an unsettling truth, awakening fragments of dread that lay dormant within me. But before I could retort, the ground shook violently. The mass erupted in a shrieking frenzy, its energy spilling forth like a flood, leaving inconceivable devastation as they surged toward us. "Grit your teeth, Knack!" Zai roared, and she dove forward, raising her blade to cut through the sheer thrumming genesis of chaos. I followed suit, aiming blindly against chaos, tumbling past the ruins of the foe as everything spiraled out of control. It was only then I understood the more I fought, the harder it became to pluck the threads of our fates from the chaos, knitting them together. Zai and I accelerated toward the figure, desperation etching deeper into our motions. There was an edge of hope intertwining with despair as I dove between the energy strikes. If we played this right, if we caught him off guard, burned them down, Zai shouted, plunging forward towards him as I leapt into a bowl of intensity, aiming for the cores of the energy he was summoning. Together, in that singular moment, time fractured around us, a breath suspended in a gravitational pull. Our combined resolve launched us towards the encroaching darkness, melding into a singular ferocity of intention. We were more than fighters caught in a battle. We were humanity colliding against the gravitational weight of an ancient force seeking to unravel everything we cherished. And as our hearts thrummed in unison, I knew we would not go quietly into that dark void. We would fight against the tide together or not at all. The clash reverberated through me as we charged ahead, and somewhere in the chaotic fray, the images of everything we had lost flickered ahead. What lay beyond was an unknown tempest, a question burning on my tongue. Could our reality truly withstand the convergence we were unleashing? Or was this our final stand against an evolving darkness? As the dust settled, the chains of destiny began to tighten, and I could feel the first pulse of awakening within the depths of the abyss. It was a calling, echoing and trembling against my fractured hope. The world erupted into chaos as the universe became an echoing void of uncertainty. Pulses of energy reverberated through the landscape as the figure before us twisted in a cacophony between the riveted mass of Rivera and the unyielding walls of destiny. "You dare defy the inevitable," he taunted, the words oozing out like acid, targeting our resolve. A surge of energy slammed into me, knocking the breath from my lungs. My vision swam as shards of adrenaline flooded into my system, the instinct to survive commandeering my every thought. Zai's fierce shout pierced through the haze as she charged forward, blade gleaming under the charges of electrical chaos. "We must light a fire across the darkness," she cried, her voice unyielding, layered with urgency and determination. I staggered to my feet, adrenaline flooding the crevices of fear, propelling me into motion as I found my footing beside her. "Let's rip it apart," I bit out, focusing fiercely on the target that loomed like a myth wrapped in shadows. The burgeoning amalgamation continued to undulate, defiant against our advance, but we were united in purpose. Zai and I shared a glance, brief, electric, and filled with the weight of untold emotion. In that moment, a bond forged in trials became our shield, against darkness, against the shadows of our past. The energy from the figure pulsed like a heart, blaring through the chaotic battlefield like a death knell, and our animosity toward the boundaries of fate coalesced into undeniable resolve. Together, we yelled in unison, unleashing the very essence of our forces. I hurled a barrage of plasma towards the core of the mass, while Zai powered through the clawing darkness with her blade, cutting through obscurity and igniting the oppressive wave rolling towards us. The connection between us surged forward, spiraling into something divine as we made contact. A collision twirled in an incandescent whirlwind, exploding outward as our spirits clashed against the gravity of our fears. The light erupted and illuminated the canyon, cascading into brilliant fractals that peeled apart the darkness like fragile paper. For a fleeting moment, our souls harmonized in that storm of creation and destruction, and then silence. Time suspended, our breaths mingled with amazement and disbelief as we caught a glimpse of the hollowed core. The figure swayed, unmoored, and dread began coiling once again around my spine. In that moment of clarity, I was aware of the growing frailty within me. What lay before me was more than mere battle. It was a trial, a reckoning of every essence we had cultivated across lines drawn in blood. "What is this?" I demanded, my voice trembling against the resonance of our own heartbeat echoing in the void. "You masquerade as gods, shackling these souls to your whims." He chuckled, a sound that reverberated through my bones, chills racing down both our spines. "You speak of chains, little one. Every choice made is but another link in this grand design. There can be no absolution without sacrifice." His piercing eyes captured mine, burning through veils of hatred and despair. "You are a part of it, and the Rivera are but an instrument, a boiling cauldron of change." "Change," I spat, defiance igniting the beating rhythm of my heart. "This isn't about change, this is about control. On your terms, we won't allow it." A flicker passed through his gaze, a shift of something inscrutable, but beneath it lay a simmering darkness. Was he afraid, or perhaps confused himself? The realization tightened my muscles and unfurled elsewhere, a reluctance to obey rising within me. Zai moved to flank me, standing resolute in the sudden weight of palatable tension. "No more puppeteering," she said, her eyes dancing with embers of rebellion. "We will fight for the Riviera, for our own autonomy." "Your defiance is admirable," he mused, the corners of his lips curling into a cynical smile. "But comprehension is a fleeting concept. This world, the very fabric of existence, demands balance. There are destinies woven into shadows, unseen. Your struggle is but a whisper against the inevitable." The ground beneath us trembled once again, a horizontal storm quaking through fractured realms, and panic threatened to overtake me. The Riviera writhed, their collective agony a pulse throughout the battlefield. I felt it, the agony echoed deep within my core, a mirror to everything we had endured on this wretched world. The wars of shadows, the ache of loss, it was never just about winning. It was about survival, of the self, of others, of the destinies marching towards a common end. "Then let the future listen to our whisper," I said, defiance radiating between the fabric of my dreams and reality. "We will take our futures into our own hands." Winds howled like the cries of lost souls, and then, at that instant, the ground erupted, splintering with chaotic force. An electrifying energy spiraled forth, illuminating the sky in a sanguine glow. Seeing the cleft in reality reassured me, punched through the chaos of shakiness that gripped my very essence. "Zai," I shouted, adrenaline electrifying our bones. "We need to sever the connection." Towering above us, the mass swirled angrily, a perverse nightmare undulating in desperation. With unwavering determination, Zai bore down upon the heart of darkness, her blade arcing through the air. I followed, nurturing a gathering storm within myself as I steadied my aim, knowing, sensing, believing that we could challenge destiny. But as I prepared to unleash my dimming fury, the figure whispered, "You cannot grasp what you cannot control." Time lost itself once again in a shimmering pulse. The chaos around us tensed, quivering like lines in a mesh, and for a brief moment I caught a glimpse of the entwined nostalgia of our past battles. Echoes of comrades, of risks taken, of allies, and each name bore weight around me. I refused to be another pawn in his assemblage of fate. Zai dove forward, her fierce thrust striking the mass with precision, a blade carving a fractured line through the chaos. My finger hovered over the plasma trigger as I centered my vision. The energy he had summoned before was waned. I seized the moment, unleashing a chorus of fire. Light exploded outward, illuminating the battlefield. The force collided against the figure standing at its epicenter, shadows scattering as the amalgamation writhed in agony. It felt like falling and soaring all at once, a resurrection, a consequence, a rift burnt between the realities of the present and an uncertain tomorrow. "No!" the figure bellowed, the sound reverberating with desperation. "You foolish, insignificant pawns! You dare muster such strength against a tide you cannot comprehend." The energy pulsed and radiated outward like a supernova, and in that cataclysmic moment we collided against the very heart of uncertainty. Crimson streams pulsed around us, the ravaged forces retreating before the blinding light. Zai's determination channeled into the strike, and I could feel the momentum shifting. The energy freed from its core surged toward humanity like a primal scream, a melding of existence, of resistance. As the figure faltered, a pulse reverberated through the very essence of the universe, and I could feel the grip of fate loosen around the Riviera. What awaits in that darkness? I yelled defiantly, even as the vibrating forces around us began to engulf the figure before us. The Riviera's embodiment of fate changed, their convoluted forms unfurling, melting into the oncoming wave of energy we had unleashed. What does the future hold? Before the figure slipped into oblivion, a flickering glint of recognition flashed through his eyes, and a murmur brushed against the wind. Not every truth begins with pain, child. In the end, the tears of the past may carve paths through the silence of tomorrows. With that, the air snapped as the core shattered, lost to the unrelenting surge that billowed around us. A final shriek pierced the air as the figure dissolved into ethereal remnants, a fusion of light that had once held dominion over entirely. But only a whisper now wove through the ashes. The energy began to dissipate, spiraling, merging with the quadrant in a kaleidoscope of brilliant colors. In that moment, I felt the weight of our victory settle around us, buoying my spirits while roots of apprehension still grasped the edges of my soul. The Riviera hesitated, uncertainty filling the air as if caught between worlds. "We did it," Zai shouted, racing to stand beside me. Her eyes sparked with fire, an excitement that cut through the darkness. "Oh, the Riviera, look!" I turned, the debris of chaos returning to a flicker as the Riviera began to unravel, their forms returning to something unmistakably sentient, an awakening. A lithe creature, flighty like sunlit strands, shimmered forth from the smoky haze, shaping its essence with quivering tendrils of understanding. I sensed the fissures running underneath the surface of it all, the recognition of struggle and something far greater brewing beneath. With every passing moment, the rage began to dissipate, replaced by something far more complex, an illuminating thread of understanding. As the mist of war faded, reflections wove together amidst the pulsating chaos. Although I sensed the possibility for a closing chapter to draw near, reflections of the past remained threaded within the narrative of creation. Battles fought and fought again, lives uplifted through teardrops, and histories rich in lessons would guide us as we ventured into an uncertain tomorrow. But as the Riviera began their awakening, deeper questions lingered in the air. Is this our second chance to rewrite the threads of existence? To shatter the bindings of the past and weave anew? Something was stirring within me, calling forth a daring challenge paired with the warmth of possibility. A new beginning, I whispered softly, gazing into the hearts of the Riviera, who now wore new light. Together we embraced the shaping of our destiny. In that moment, a shimmering glow danced through the air, resonating with harmony. Our lives intertwined, crafting a narrative of untraceable beauty. And there, amidst the ashes of our struggles, lay hope, casting endless paths towards an indomitable future. As the Riviera surged forward, spurred by newfound strength, I felt an exhilarating sense of freedom pulse within us. The battle was only one aspect of existence, but now we had a chance to press forward together, toward a shared horizon. Let's get out of here, Zai grinned, the fire within her eyes unextinguished. Whatever comes next, we face it as one. With my heart buoyed by new purpose, I clasped her hand firmly, and together we stepped beyond the ruins of despair, into the throes of possibility, banging against open doors leading into the unknown. Shadows merged behind us, pieces of a tumultuous past. But ahead, the radiant embrace of the future awaited, welcoming us into a world yet unfurling, untamed, full of promise and freedom. Whatever lay beyond would be something we would shape together, carving our own path through the vastness of the cosmos. The journey into the unknown dawned upon us, draping itself over our shoulders like an ethereal cloak, heavy with possibility and uncertainty. As the remnants of the Riviera horde fled amid the shimmering dust cloud hanging in the air, I was acutely aware of Zai's presence beside me, the warmth of our shared triumph mingling with uncharted territories stretching before us. Where do we even start? Zai mused, slowly turning to observe the transformed landscape. The canyon that had been our battlefield now glimmered with iridescent colors, pulsating with a calm energy, something almost alive. The Riviera, once frenzied creatures driven by instincts, now emanated a sense of interconnected purpose. It was as if the very environment fostered a deeper understanding, and suddenly, I could feel the weight of the universe quivering with potential. First, we need to establish communication with them, I replied, scanning the horizon where the Riviera had begun weaving harmoniously into a flowing dance. An elegant interplay, like a tapestry unfurling in the breath of the wind. They've awakened, Zai. If we can bridge this newfound connection, perhaps we can understand their struggle. If the Riviera had transformed, their forms reflecting the beauty of the stars woven in the heavens. They stood now as slender silhouettes against a canvas of vibrant lights, their movements synchronized like celestial bodies in motion, each flicker a pulse echoing from the heart of a hopeful new society. Even the very fabric of midnight, SOAR, my once familiar base of operations, bowed to their burgeoning genesis. Let's find us a leader, Zai said, determination igniting within her eyes. If we can figure out how to communicate, we may leverage ties back to the federated systems. We took our first steps into the radiant arena of change, a world where struggles had birthed an awakening. Excitement tinged with a pulse of apprehension fluttered like wings in my chest. As Zai called out, the energy around us shivered, suddenly vibrant and attuned to the voices of the Riviera growing near. They turned to us, their forms becoming more distinct, intricate bioluminescent patterns swirling across their surfaces. One stepped forward, its countenance alight with an intelligence and grace born from millennia of existence. You who bear the residue of battle, you carry stories woven into your flesh. It ventured in tones that resonated within my mind, unanchored by the limitations of language. Your hands dipped in darkness now contrast with the vibrant light of awakening. Come, share your truths. Zai and I separated slightly at the Riviera's presence, but held firm in our resolve. We fought alongside you within the tide of fury and pain. I began, feeling the pulse of honesty surge within me. But there is so much we do not understand. Much has been lost, the Riviera replied, its luminous form vibrating with empathy, flowing like liquid. We have known the weight of servitude and anger, but we need not continue the cycle. When we entwined our essence with the darkness, we lost our way, a path tainted by ancient grievances. But you, it gestured between Zai and me. You have acted upon the precipice of fate. What do you mean? Zai interjected, furrowing her brow in disbelief. We're just soldiers. We don't hold any greater power. The Riviera shimmered, its light pulsing slowly, centering the air around us. You misunderstand, brave souls. Power is not about dominance over worlds or the destruction of enemies. It is the weight of choice and the courage to illuminate the darkness together. We can kindle the light of understanding in the lands beyond. The shifting moments felt like gears clicking into place as echoes vibrated within my thoughts. This was a chance. Our destinies intertwined, not just tied by fate, but by the very act of connection and strength. Would you fight alongside us? I asked, the weight of our asking igniting fierce urgency. Together, we can reshape the curse of bloodshed into something more profound. The Riviera paused, seeming to contemplate for an eternity, and its swirling patterns steadied. Embrace the shadows, learn from them. Teach us your struggles, and we can bind our futures together. But no, trust must permeate through the core. Unity given must remain unbroken. Zai and I exchanged determined glances. This path demanded not just courage but vulnerability. We blasted through the frailty of our past in that moment, confined by the very complexities that had folded our hearts like origami against the fiery winds. Then it's decided, Zai said resolutely, her voice steady and unyielding. We become ambassadors of strength through mutual understanding. As the Riviera enveloped us within their brightening forms, I felt the strings of connection weaving tighter, intertwining our fate with the cool winds of Alba that stirred the air in an unseen dance. The future lay before us, slowly blossoming like a flower breaking through layers of frost. Time passed as we shared stories of survival, embers igniting amongst us a mixture of laughter and sorrow as brave pasts were honored and cherished. In each exchange, something shifted, cocooning the sound of propagating hope beneath the weight of despair. It was more than just alliance. It became storytelling that transcended dimensions, boundless in essence. Days passed into weeks, and soon the androgynous figure we had encountered emerged as our guiding force, the Shendu, a mighty Riviera renowned for its keen understanding of the multiverse that interconnected the fates of beings across planes. Together, our resistance is not just against darkness, but against all forms of oppression that have lingered in shadows. Ishendu declared, its luminous presence filled with strength. An amalgamation of knots, forged on the anvil of unity. Today, we begin our rebirth. As we rallied the Riviera around the vision of a liberated future, our quest for communication intensified. The echoes of past battles transformed into plans to gather forces, the fledgling alliance now a matter of identity. What had once been a scattered wave of conflict became a complex tapestry of life yearning for change. But the unknown still lingered, a silent specter watching from the edges of our awakening. Rumors began to stir through the trees, whispers of a larger force surveying our progress. Alliances across the cosmic expanse would be necessary, and dark hearts once more loomed just beyond the horizon. On a sunlit dawn, we stood atop Midnight Soar's old fortress, gazing into the expanse beyond. The air thrummed with anticipation. Beneath the surface, we already began to craft new stories where bonds would deepen and shadows would lift. Together, we can carve our destinies anew, I said, my voice filled with fire as I looked at Zai and the Riviera gathered, their light glimmering against the fading darkness. We can be a beacon of hope, illuminating paths to forge the future we believe in. We must not forget, it's not just our alliance against forces outside, Zai added passionately, her gaze steady, cutting through uncertainty. We must also confront the shadow within, for it is the heart that commands how we grow. Then, let us begin, Shendu responded, its essence radiating with vibrational power. We shall seek the ways of strength that tie us to one another, and in doing so we will reclaim the legacy we deserve. As we united, breath awakened beneath the rays of a new sun, forging a path that lingered between galaxies yet unnamed, resilient and fierce. The tides of change began to churn within the marrow of existence, for the threads of our intertwined destinies sought truth and reconciliation across the fabric of time. And thus, we embarked upon a journey where shadows would be met with arms wide open, and chaotic unknowns would tremble beneath the rising clarion of hope. Across landscapes shimmering with life and past tangible barriers of desolation, we ventured forth, ready to embrace the unfamiliar in service of creation, and above all, the untold stories waiting to unfold. The universe would watch. A dawn of a new era shimmered ahead. As the dawn of a new era crested the horizon, the scars of the past began to recede beneath the healing light of alliance and understanding. Together with the Riviera, our coalition pulsed with an energy that spoke of rebirth, an amalgamation rooted in unity, propelled by purpose. Days turned into weeks, and our collective efforts blossomed beyond the emerald foothills of Midnight Soar. The Riviera, led by Shendu, embraced their new identities not just as fighters, but as ambassadors of their ancient knowledge, a legacy intertwined in the cosmic theater of existence. They learned our language, our stories, and we delved deep into the rich tapestry of their history, discovering truths that echoed whispers of commonality across the divide. Yet implicit dread lingered beneath the surface of our burgeoning society. Rumors of a larger force started to crystallize beyond the horizon, a whispering shadow set against the backdrop of light we were forging. Whispers of the Grand Conclave, an ancient coalition of power-hungry entities who ruled over realms with an iron grip, loomed like storm clouds on our horizon. Their influence thrummed through the very fabric of the universe, and they would not easily relinquish control over territories marked by blood and suffering. It is imperative to gather a council of our allies across the cosmic expanse, Shendu urged as we stood in the hall of convergence, our newly erected echo of diplomacy, decorated with shimmering iridescent designs drawn from both Riviera artistry and human resilience. But where do we even start? Zai interjected, her brow furrowed. The conclave is vast and traditional. They may not take us seriously. Fear gnawed at my resolve, but within that anxiety blossomed a deeper determination. We have stories that resonate, they are powerful. We need to present our vision not just to the universe's elite, but to the masses who are enamored by hope, I asserted. The Riviera nodded, their luminous forms expressing the weight of anticipation in the air. We shall carry our hearts with us into the expanse, each tale a brushstroke in the canvas of unity, Shendu affirmed. But to gather the minuscule minds willing to shift the tides, we must weave together threads of outreach. Together, we devised a plan, setting forth to communicate with established civilizations across the galaxies. The stories we shared would ignite a ripple, a beacon against the growing shadows. We crafted messages imbued with emotion, nostalgia, and the vibrancy of life that breathed in the depths of our struggles. Weeks of collaboration sprouted rapidly, and determination surged like a wildfire through each member of our coalition. I traveled alongside Zai to rival star systems, marshaling the alluring tales of resilience born through the crescendo of battles, expounding the essence of cooperation, a proclamation of unity yearning for allegiance. One of our first stops was Zephyr Roman 9, a lush planet abundant with flora, that bathed in luminescence under the glow of its twin suns. Here, we aimed to speak before the Silvatari, curious beings known for their exquisite artistry, but equally notorious for their hesitance towards outsiders. As we soared across their vibrant landscape in a vessel crafted by Riviera artisans, I felt apprehension threading through my veins. Would our combined narratives pierce the suffocating veil of their isolation? Remember, Zai urged beside me, her gaze fierce with determination. We bear the echoes of hope. We must focus on what lies ahead. The meeting was arranged under the sacred Arbor Reiner, a colossal tree, its bark as dark as night, specked with starlit patterns that told the forest's story for eons. The Silvatari emerged as ethereal silhouettes, their forms coiling gracefully between branches shimmering with pulsating energy. Cunning and agile, their eyes glittered with ancient wisdom that gazed upon us skeptically. "Why have you come?" the leading Silvatari inquired, voice resonant with the rustle of leaves. "We carry tales of resilience, a coalition forged in the fire of loss and awakening. We bear hope for a brighter tomorrow." I spoke, the weight of conviction anchoring my words. Their gaze remained unimpressed, shifting between us, lingering on the stories we wore like armor. Zai stepped forward, her resolve coalescing into fierce passion. "We are not just warriors, we are guardians of the light, a force yearning for a world unshackled from oppression. The darkness may loom, but your artistry reflects a legacy that can inspire. Together, we can create a tapestry that outshines the shadows." She extended her hand, and I watched as the Silvatari's expression shifted, a flicker of curiosity igniting within them. After what felt like an eternity, murmurs rippled among them, and finally the leader stepped back. "Perhaps your words hold merit. We shall consider your proposal." As we journeyed through Zephyr Roman 9, a connection formed, mingling artistry with purpose. The echoes of our stories danced in resonance, swelling into a chorus that sparked others. We shared the deeper stories of the Riviera and the battles that had bonded our fates. And as the Silvatari painted vibrant canvases depicting our struggles, alliances unfurled like wildflowers in bloom. In the weeks that followed, scattering across the galaxy emboldened our resolve. We reached out to the Ferithians, whose great ships glided through shadows, the Terraquians of the moonlight reefs, who spun tales woven with ethereal light, and the Argonaut, who guarded realms marked by cosmic storms. Each civilization unveiled their histories, granting us glimmers of understanding that shrouded the fabric of our galaxy. Yet, with every alliance solidified, an eerie undercurrent began to manifest, a portent of the grand conclave descending towards us, ever watchful, seeking to dominate the very essence of the movement we were igniting. A look at the stars, Shendu spoke during one of our late-night gatherings, its luminous glow reflecting the constellations overhead. "They speak of our alignment, a confluence of strength huddled against darkness, but we must remain vigilant." An urgency settled over us, pulsating beneath the weight of our momentum. We prepared grand assemblies to rally the collective energies of our allies, awakening rays of spirit woven between those who had felt disenchanted by despair. But in the shadows, the grand conclave organized, assembling forces that shrewdly defected from their alliances, ready to reclaim authority amidst the rising tension. As the day of our amassed delegation approached, harmony shivered with electric anticipation. Our united coalition, large and vibrant, was prepared to present ourselves amongst the mighty. However, uncertainty loomed larger with each passing moment. On the eve of our first council, I sat with Zai under the star-studded expanse, the sharp scent of flora surrounding us. The pulsating rhythms of laughter echoed from other members of our coalition, but my heart thudded amidst fear. What if they refuse us? I wondered aloud, tracing patterns in the starlit sky. What if we can't convince them to stand against conclave? Zai's response held warmth, vivid and reassured. "We cannot control what lies ahead, Nak. All we can do is share our truth, as raw and intricate as it may be. If the light we ignite resonates, they will join us. And if they do not, we will not be alone in the struggle." Her words calmed the tempest in my heart, trying to weave the threads of fear across a landscape of uncertainty. The brilliance of possibility shimmered ahead, urging me to embrace the shadows as we stood poised on the threshold of all that awaited. The Grand Council convened a gathering shaped by luminous energy and the pulsating heartbeat of diverse civilizations resonating in unity. Alien beings surrounded us, each heart forged anew under the weight of history. The luminary spire filled the air with anticipation, reverberating as those who had once worn the chains of servitude stood shoulder to shoulder, clasping hands anew. When the conclave arrived, flanked by imposing ships shrouded in darkness, a wave of unease swept over the merged crowd. The silence pressed against us a heavy cloak, suffocating and expectant. I stood with Zai, Shendu, and the leaders we had rallied, determination sparking like wildfire in my chest. As one of the grand conclave stepped forth, an imposing silhouette adorned in shadows, their eyes gleamed with the brilliance of 1,000 stars, my heart raced. To put it simply, the figure spoke, voice low and shrouded. Unity is born of strength, but amid this proclamation lies danger. Can we trust your alliance won't fragment? A hush fell over the assembly, hearts beating as one, an unyielding wave of assurance swelling through us. I felt that every soul present shared the weight of history, urging me to voice that truth. A message straining at my lips. "A trust," I began, voice steady against the tides of uncertainty, "is born in the shadows of vulnerability. We come before you not as opposing forces ready to wage war, but as a renewed coalition built from the ashes of our pasts. You threaten our existence, and yet we stand together, seeking to cultivate something greater." As my words settled, the silence shifted. Flames of fervor ignited in the hearts of those gathered, rippling through the assemblage. Zai stepped forth beside me, undeterred, surging with emotion. "We bear the weight of losses, of tears shed across this fabric of existence. Together, we shine brighter. We stand on the brink of liberating against tyranny that threatens us all. What legacy will you leave behind, one etched in division or in unyielding courage?" In that moment, the tapestry of our stories filled the hall, loud and brilliant, a symphony of every battle fought, every dream forged, and every struggle voiced. The radiance of hope illuminated the hearts of allies fledgling against the growing shadows, sparking an unyielding chorus that echoed beyond the confines of fear. Hours slipped into the night, and the council unfolded with luminous stories interweaving, each civilization embedding their histories within the grand wielder of existence. Yet, as alliances flourished, I could feel the shadow of the grand conclave meandering just outside our realm, coalescing in a darkness that yearned to snuff our light. The echoes of our struggles mingled with their dark foreboding. The tide of destiny surged around us. Hope filled the air, but the shadows once cast still roamed free, waiting for the moment to strike. Even without our fear, we were not clueless. Compromise and closure blossomed ahead, but suspicion began to snake its way through the council. The shadows were hungry, they sought to reclaim. In that pivotal moment, the weight of history bore down upon us as we prepared to delve deeper into this shared reality. A chapter yet unwritten lay before us, shimmering in the ethereal breath of possibility. A final stand against the chaotic depths, threatening everything we had painstakingly built. The cosmos beckoned. A symphony of narratives waited to unfold, the stars navigating their orbits in quiet recognition of the shapes we were destined to carve upon the cosmic canvas. "Tonight marks the beginning of our emancipation," I whispered, determination swelling within me, my heart resonating with the pulse of unity. "We fight for one another against the storm that threatens to drown us." Indeed, Zai affirmed, her gaze fierce as we lifted our heads towards the building storm. "But together, my friend, we shall greet that storm with open arms." And, in that moment, our fates became inexorably intertwined, an unbroken chain of stories joining hands against the encroaching darkness, a beacon of resilience ablaze together. As the gathering thundered to a close, the night pulsed with anticipation. We stood poised on the cusp of destiny, ready to face the shadows threatening to unravel all we held dear. With hearts entwined, we had readied ourselves to shape a future shimmering with hope, or dance along the edge of an unfathomable abyss. Together, we would confront the darkest moment yet to come. The air crackled with tension, palpable as a raw nerve exposed to the universe. The coalition stood united within the luminary spire, poised on the precipice of change. Countless voices rose in unison, resonating with the ancestral weight of the lives they had lived, the battles they had fought. Each heartbeat echoed in defiance against the waves crashing beyond the borders of our gathering, a storm brewing silently in the backdrop. sinister forces veiled within shadows. As the grand conclave assembled clad in resplendent darkness that seemed to pulse with its own heartbeat, the enormity of the moment struck me like a meteorite crashing against the stars. Their presence radiated a calculating confidence, a chill in the air that whispered an eerie reminder of the power they wielded. Yet we stood grounded, our conviction a glowing beacon against the bleakness. "Why gather?" boomed the voice of the conclave's leader, a figure shrouded in grandeur, "if not to yield to the inevitability of dominance? You are a fledgling coalition, held together by the frail threads of hope. Can you even fathom the true nature of the shadows that beckon?" I sensed the pulse within us shift, but I refused to let the weight of abandonment sink too deep, no matter the shadows looming. Enveloped in Zai's fierce gaze, I felt our purpose intertwine. The very essence that had guided us through the dark valleys breathed new life into my resolve. "We gather not for dominance," I began, my voice unwavering, "but for liberation. Our coalition knows the taste of struggle, the beauty forged in the fires of resilience. We are defined by the scars of our past, a tapestry of losses woven together, and each thread leads to the radiant promise of tomorrow." Zai stepped forward, mirroring my conviction, her fiery spirit crackling in the air around us like the embers of a restless flame. "We are not just warriors. We are dreamers, reclaiming the worlds from tyranny forever haunted, but never defeated. What lives beyond the walls you impose? Will you allow the light of possibility to flicker in the corners you've sworn to silence?" A shift moved through the assembly. The echoes of her words, heavy and electric, resonated among the civilization representatives gathered before us. The undeniable truth surged through the crowd, stoking flames of inspiration and rallying strength among the Riviera, the Silvatari, and all who stood shoulder to shoulder with us. "It is not merely the tapestry of our struggles that we seek to weave," I added, heart racing with each utterance, "but our histories themselves are interlaced within the framework of stakes larger than ourselves. Together, we can illuminate the path forward. While shadows do loom, we can reclaim the stars as our birthright." Childish bravado. The leader of the conclave shot back, their tone laced with venom. "You believe unity will shield you from our grasp. We have seen stars extinguished. We wield the laws of destiny itself. You would do well to recognize the perilous ground you tread." Their voice reverberated through the gathering like a gale force, commanding attention while attempting to intimidate. "In light of our shared truths," a voice rose from the throng, a luminary counselor from the Argonaut High, a being whose luminescent skin flickered like a canvas capturing the cosmic seas. "We've known loss, too, in our struggles against the nebulous darkness. United, we have the power to rewrite this narrative. We dare to reclaim our legacy." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the assembly, igniting sparks of courage in the spaces around us. The silence stretching across the gathering grew heavy, thick with anticipation, and I could feel the tenseness in the air. The shared breath before a momentous revelation. Without warning, an introducing sound echoed through the chamber as another figure emerged from the shadows, lithe and commanding, adorned with strands of iridescence that caught the light. "Unity is just words on the tongues of those too weak to act," they declared, igniting focused disdain. "Who will follow your tales of valor?" I clenched my fists against the encroaching voice, irritation bubbling beneath the surface. "Those who long to break free from the stranglehold of those who claim power for their own," I retorted. Listen, listen. Each story we've shared, the losses we've borne. They demand reckoning, not only for ourselves but for the people clamoring for change across galaxies you've invaded, whose light you have snuffed out." Stirrings mounted. Our call to action seeped deeper, resonating with the pulse of countless lives intertwined within the tapestry aimed at forging a different future. The air thrummed with an electrifying energy, echoing the weight of our united purpose. Yet, as the conclave wrestled with our words, the shadows slowly curled outward, as if responding to the radiance we presented. "What is this?" one member growled, glancing back at the constellation-laden battlefield outside. The stars, something dark approaches, they will strike without mercy. Panic surged through the assembled crowd, fear creeping back into the folds of brave hearts. I felt a tremor of uncertainty ripple through the ranks. Could we succeed against the tide? The darkness swirled beyond, fear inching its way into our thoughts. No, I shouted, my voice rising above the din even as the shadows encroached upon our buoyant spirit. This darkness is a reminder of what is at stake. The conclave is but a shell of usurpers holding on to power. This moment demands our strength, our courage to shape our own fate. Zai seized the moment, rallying the coalition members beside me. Together, we weave the fabric of the future. Do not succumb to a fear that seeks to unravel the bonds we have formed. Hold fast, stand tall. As the very essence of our collective spirit surged forth, the council erupted in a swirl of passion, strength rising amidst the chaos. The boundaries of fear began to fracture, bonds of trust blossoming through the tumult as we stood shoulder to shoulder, ready to confront whatever darkness sought to breach the light we'd begun to forge. The Reverer roared to life, a symphony of ancient energies awakening within their burgeoning forms, their vibrations resonating with unity. We will chart the tides of destiny, together, in the face of adversity. With our hearts aligned, we mirrored the rhythms of resilience, creating a chorus that rebuffed the encroaching shadows. The darkness writhed, hesitating against the fervent glow of defiance swirling through the whole, coaxed forth by the harmony of diverse life forms. And somewhere in the distance, standing at the threshold of fate, I felt the weight of countless stories, powerful and resonant, rising to meet the crescendo. We would not cower. Where shadows operate best in isolation, we would fight as one. The Grand Council surged as illuminated figures entwined their energies to rise against the dark storm gathering at the precipice, flames of courage igniting in the night. Hope flowed through our veins, abounding against the gathering storm, as we prepared to meet the shadows head on. Then come, the leader of the conclave spat, fueled by arrogance. Let us witness what your fragile union inscribes against the inevitable. Let the darkness descend. As the storm surged against us, a stark silence enveloped the hall. A breath held in collective anticipation because we were no longer just stories spoken in fear. We had become the forging of destiny, blazing forth a pulse of light against the vast universe of shadows we had awakened. Onward, I roared, exhilaration swelling within me as the coalition surged into the unknown. The clash of light and darkness awaited, but I felt the unwavering strength press against my heart as we tore through the veil of night. We would fight for every soul, every flicker of hope alive within us, prepared to illuminate the path toward a new dawn, no matter the cost. With swords drawn and hearts ablaze, we swept forward, shadows and distance swirling as we embraced the dawning tapestry of fate, a cosmos resonant with the vibrancy of existence ready to pulsate against the fabric of oppression. Whatever awaited us together, we would rise. Whatever shadows loomed, we would hold steadfast against the tide, ready to carve our story into the very heart of the universe itself. The final conflict had begun, but this was not just a fight. It was our legacy. The unwavering light of possibility, alive and roaring, would meet the encroaching storm with all its might. The nexus of worlds awaited. Let the reckoning commence. The air thickened with an intoxicating mix of fear and determination as our coalition surged forward, drawn together by a unified sense of purpose. The luminary spire trembled as ominous shadows gathered beyond its shimmering holes, swirling like a maelstrom hungry for something to devour. My heart raced as I felt the collective heartbeat of the coalition manifest, an unbreakable bond that resonated with the resolve of every civilization represented. We were no longer just disparate worlds seeking solace or companionship. We had morphed into a singular entity ready to confront the encroaching darkness. Steady yourselves, I shouted over the sound of the rising storm, my voice reverberating through the assembly. The pulsating energy around us felt electric, ringing with anticipation as the members readied themselves. I turned, gathering strength from Zai, whose blue eyes radiated a fierce glow of unwavering resolve. We face not just an enemy, but the weight of fear itself. Stand tall. In unison, the gathered beings lifted their weapons and focused their determination into the rising chaos. The grand conclave's silhouettes loomed threateningly at the convergence of light and shadow, shimmering ships framing their council like monstrous predators poised to strike. But as they drew closer, I felt the rising tide of energy amongst us. Every heart beat louder than the shadows that clawed for attention. The leader of the conclave, an imposing figure cloaked in dark ripples that emanated a sinister melody, stepped forward. Shadows writhed around them as they cavorted in the flickering luminescence of our gathering. Foolish light, knowers, they hissed, voice ringing out like thunder. Your hope will wither before the potency of darkness. You may have gathered strength among the weak, but dominance, true dominance, is an art best painted in shadows. With a flick of their wrist, the shadows around their form coalesced, dark energy spiraling, pulling the very essence of fear from the depths of our minds. My pulse quickened as I felt gusts of uncertainty wash over us, dredging up memories we had fought hard to bury, friends lost, battles endured, and the weight of despair pressing down relentlessly, as if it intended to pin us against the ground. And not today, Izai shouted, stepping forward, eyes aflame with an intensity that lifted the air around us. You misjudge the power of unity. We have faced the darkness before. Together, we are more than just echoes. Together, we are a storm of reclamation. The Rivera surged alongside her, the bioluminescence on their skins shimmering brighter as their collective energies ignited into a dazzling light. I stood rooted beside them, melding my own essence with theirs, and together we became a beacon not just against the encroaching shadows, but against the fear that threatened to overtake us. We stand united. I bellowed, feeling the charge coursing through my veins. We will not become mere footnotes in your tale of tyranny. We are the stories that flicker in the dark. We will rise from the ashes. And with those words, a pulse of energy surged through me, a ripple that caught the attention of everyone present. The vast coalition embraced the revelation, and we surged forth as one, actions synchronized, pushing against the grasping shadows that threatened to tether us back to despair. The shadows writhed and coiled before us, manifesting grotesque forms. Figures emerging from the darkness, intent on driving fear into the depths of our resolve. They lunged at our coalition like a tsunami poised to swallow everything in their path, their embodiment of chaos acting with brutal precision. But we met them with a combined front lasers sparked and weapons fired as we stood firm, our inspiring light illuminating the forefront and igniting the void. Press forward, shouted Shendu, guiding the Rivera as their luminescent patterns intensified. The ensuing burst of energy scattered the darkness like the first rays of dawn, filtering through the battles raging around us. With each pulse, the shadows quivered, revealing the strength we bore. But just beyond our immediate clash, I sensed power gathering. Above us surged a colossal vessel shadowed against the stars, its form gliding effortlessly as if it were a predator, serenely powerful, poised to descend upon us and devour our coalition whole. The conclave flanked on all sides, calculating, drawing strength as waves of energy crashed around their grim fortress. We must disrupt their command, I shouted, anchored by the surge of adrenaline coursing through us. If we weaken them, we shatter the shadows. Zai nodded in agreement, determination blazing within her as we rallied the fighters around us into strategic formations, channeling our intents toward the looming vessel, our poetic adversary painted in shadows. I could see a flicker in Zai's expression, something behind those brave eyes suggesting not just resolve but anticipation. We need to separate the leaders from their minions, she cautioned, fingering the hilt of her weapon. If we can break their chain, we might just destabilize their resolve. As we prepared to split our forces, shrouded in urgency, a wave of realization rolled through me. Reminder that our journey didn't solely rest upon the strength we wielded against adversaries. but the connections we forged along the way. "We are not alone," I said, feeling the pulse of alliance strengthen with weight every hand we'd clasped. Every story shared was carrying us now. The stars breathe with us. The universe rallies beside us. And with those words, our forces roared as one. In brilliant arcs of light, Rivera energy and human resolve combined into radiant waves cutting through the shrouded battleground. Zai and I wove through the commotion of clashing wills, moving with purpose. We were liable to take back agency. Each beat of our hearts echoed with newfound strength as we cut our way to the forefront of the shadowed vessel, determined to confront the looming darkness, intent on suffocating our hopes. The dark cloak of the Grand Conclave grew thicker, enshrouding the skies as if rippling, threatening to eclipse the dawn we fought so hard to protect. But with every ounce of courage flooding through our veins, we surged together, a fluid amalgamation of hope and determination, the very embodiment of resistance. "Well, onward," I roared, my voice cutting through the storm as I broke free from the throng, Zai at my side, ready to breach through the density of darkness and into the heart of the enemy's stronghold. Every blow we dealt, every step we took, shattered the remnants of despair that threatened to hold us back. We were united in each heartbeat, collective pulse rising against the veil that cloaked us. Our resolve was an unfaltering blaze. As we reached the threshold, I felt the visceral weight of history press down. Generations lined up against our movement, behind us, urging us forward. Suddenly, as we ascended the ramp into the darkened vessel, a familiar face emerged from the shadows. A cruel grin that twisted into a daggered frown, revealing the leader of the Grand Conclave, the figure cloaked in malevolence. "We end this now," they declared, a commanding force echoing against the walls as a sharp laugh sliced through the tension. "Your delusions of unity will yield to inevitable chaos. You shall not have dominion over us. I will not bend to your fears," I shouted back, adrenaline sparking as I refused to back down. "But tonight, we write our legacies in flames. We are the phoenix rising against the ashes of despair." And with that declaration, our words rallied strength within the coalition, a unified battle cry surging through the air, and in synchrony, we began the fierce onslaught, our energy combining to form a beacon of resistance. The luminosity of our spirits became an ethereal storm clashing against the Grand Conclave. Wave after wave may attempt to snuff out our light, Zai shouted, targeting the shadows seeking to claw their way to us. But like echoes through the cosmos, we will rise again and again. We refuse to be mere means to your ends. With every strike launched, we were a force wielding the weight of hope and resilience against the gathering storm. They were not merely shadows, but the shadows of our own fears given form, seeking to devour the remnants of our light. The battle raged on, chaos surging around us, but within the mess of it all, I felt resoluteness swell. A unity stronger than the vastness stretching before us. "Break the hold," I screamed as we reached a core chamber where energy swirled thickly, pulsing with despair. The shadows withdrew, reluctantly relinquishing their grasp, surging against our wills, yet we pressed on. "Do not falter," Zai encouraged, her voice a beacon that shined even amidst the tempest. "We will push forward. We are the culmination of all longings, and the front lines against the darkness. Fueled by newfound strength, we redirected our energies toward the core of the ship, emptying everything into the reservoir of light we had converged upon. As we forged through the layers of darkness intertwining our path, desperation clawed at my throat. Whatever the outcome, we would see it through, forging ahead with a luminous hug of hope and solidarity in our hearts. As the tendrils of dark energy contorted around us, I tasted the exhilarating freedom of possibility that lay at our fingertips, a future poised to blossom or splinter, hanging in precarious balance. I pushed back against the darkness, threatening to seep into every crack of our collective resolve, the warmth of determination binding me to my allies. I saw Shendu surge forth, its form illuminating the chamber like a star breaking free from the confines of a shadowed sky. Together, it cried, "We will reclaim what was stolen from us. Our strength forged through trials will not wither. We will emerge victorious. With a collective fervor we ignited, our energies intertwining, the culmination of countless histories forming into a swirling tempest. A violent surge against the shadows. The blast erupted, a burst of light that surged forth, illuminating the chamber in brilliant clarity, wrapping us in reassurance as we stormed the heart of the Grand Conclave's vessel together. The shadows writhed, losing their grip. No, the dark figure shouted, retreating in the face of our relentless surge. This isn't possible. In that moment, strength swelled within me, an overwhelming sense of empowerment washing over as we pressed forward, unwilling to yield. For within the chaos, I saw our threads of fate woven together, a tapestry brightening before our eyes, illuminating remnants of fear lingering in the wake of past battles. And there, at the nexus, at the heart of the darkness, I felt the most profound sense of clarity. It was the moment where shadows converged with light, a true reckoning at the intersection of our stories, all spiraling into an ocean of infinite potential. Together, I murmured, looking into Zai's determined eyes, "Let's finish this." And as we pierced through the dark void into the light of destiny, I knew we would defy even the darkest nights. We would rise together, defiant flames against the tempest, carving our legacies into the very fabric of the universe. Battles emerged, fights were fought, but here lay our moment of truth. The awakening of light against the shadows, ready to reveal our fate and embrace the dawn that awaited us. With renewed vigor and empowered hearts, we surged forward, enveloped in an unbreakable bond of hope, rising against the shadows as dawn's first light embraced our newfound reality. The fight was only the beginning. The cosmos awaited, and we were ready to create it anew. As the radiance of our surge wrapped around us like an iridescent cocoon, the darkness before us recoiled, struggling to maintain its grip on a power that felt increasingly fragile. With every pulse of resistance we unleashed, the essence of our collective strength carved a pathway through the shadows. Grand Conclave's fortress quaked under the ferocity of our will, and I felt hope swell alongside the beating hearts of the people who had gathered, each story entwined with ours, each soul igniting another spark in this unyielding spirit. "Go forward," I commanded, my voice filled with fervor that rose above the echoes of the chaos surrounding us. The vessel trembled as Zai and I surged toward the pulsating core of its power, the shadows flickering like dying embers caught in the relentless tide of our awakening. With every weapon raised and every heart screaming for liberation, we pressed on together, each step a testament to our unity that refused to be extinguished. Within the chamber, darkness coiled around the leader of the Grand Conclave, their malevolent glare fixated on the radiant storm emerging from our coalition. "You think you can overthrow the balance that governs existence?" they hissed, their voice laced with frustration, as though the very air crackled with the tension of unyielding worlds clashing. "You are but a candle flickering in the void." I burned brighter, refusing to let despair take root. "We are not just a flicker, we are the flame," I bellowed, our energy coalescing into pulsing waves of light that surged like a solar flare, casting shadows high into the rafters of the chamber. Gathered around us, the representatives of our myriad civilizations stood in solidarity, a beacon of brilliance against the oppressive dark. "Ready yourselves," shouted Zai, her spirit unbreakable as she raised her weapon high, illuminating the path toward our destiny. "We do not fight alone." The coalition surged, an array of colors and life intermingling as Salvatari, Rivera, Ferithians, and all others merged into an unstoppable force that rallied against the oppression threatening to consume us. The shadows writhed, scrambling to maintain their grip, but we advanced undeterred. This is our moment to reclaim our stories. This is our chance to illuminate the dark places you've pushed us into. I roared, feeling my heart synchronize with Zai's steady rhythm beside me, and then it began. Our coordinated assault thrust through the dimness, intertwining beams of energy, illuminated the very essence of hope. Each pulse carved a new reality amidst the tangled web of despair. Together, We tore through the shadows, plunging toward the central nexus where the essence of the Grand Conclave swirled in a tempest of conflict. Shatter the core, Xi called, guiding the coalition, unyielding in her determination. This is our chance. Each strike is our voice against oppression. As we surrounded the pulsating heart of darkness, I locked eyes with the leader of the Grand Conclave, their malevolent energy manifesting into tendrils that lashed outward, seeking to ensnare us. You are overconfident, little flame. You cannot extinguish legacy, they hissed, shadows vibrating in tandem with their fury. Watch us burn brighter. I shot back defiantly, feeling the weight of every story shared, every struggle whispered among our ranks. We encapsulated the very essence of rebirth, a collective force wielding light as our weapon, emotions intertwining to challenge every thread of despair that dared to linger in the shadows. In that moment, we broke through. The shadows recoiled, surrendering to the light that consumed their very foundation. We penetrated the thick density surrounding the core, a reverberation of light and strength echoing in a chorus of voices unified by unbreakable bonds. I took a deep breath, fueled by the resilience within, and aimed straight for the center. The surge of energy pulsed against my fingertips, and with every ounce of determination, I drove our collective force forward against the heart of the dark. An explosion of brilliance igniting before us, a luminescent eruption blooming through the chamber as the essence of the conclave's power began to unravel. "No," the leader cried, their voice tearing through the dark energy, madness and desperation mixing into the chaos. "You will pay for this," and then it shattered. In a blinding flash, the darkness crumbled apart as the swirling tendrils of shadows burst into fragments, before collapsing under the radiant tide we had unleashed. I felt it, the power of every essence around us intermingling, creating an unstoppable wave that soared through the vessel, collapsing the twisted architecture of oppression that had bound us all. Light erupted in a cascade that resonated beyond the physical chamber, spilling out into the expanse of the cosmos, reverberating with the harmonies of our shared stories and struggles, reaffirming the essence of resilience we had kindled. It washed across the realm, consuming all darkness in its path. As the thrumming energy enveloped us, I turned to hold Xi's gaze, tears mingling with the burning resolve shining within. We had done it. Our spirits woven together into one grand heartbeat that reverberated against the fabric of the universe. Together, I breathed, we've reclaimed our destinies. The echoes of the Grand Conclave faded as they vanished beneath the light that flourished in joyous rebirth. The darkness that so long sought to consume us now replaced by the illumination of existence renewed. As our coalition emerged from the remnants of the vessel, the glowing energy lingered, guiding us toward the horizon where possibilities burgeoned. I glanced back at the scattered ruins of the once mighty fortress, now a testament to every struggle we had endured. The light would be our legacy. "You look tired," Xi whispered with a small smile, her eyes alive with an unquenchable spirit. "But we carry a fiercer fire now." I nodded, feeling the warmth of hope spread through my soul. "And this is just the beginning. We've ignited a new dawn." As we stood amidst the swirling brilliance, other civilizations began to emerge beside us, Silvatari, Ferithians, and others who had fought alongside us. Together, we formed a luminous tapestry against the endless void, an unbroken chain forged in resilience that spanned the horizon. "Let us shape the future," Shendu declared, extending its luminous form toward us. "Let our voices rise in echoes of solidarity, crafting worlds reborn from the ashes of darkness. Together, we are the authors of our fate." We nodded as one, a collective vow binding us together as we embraced our new reality. The cosmos awaited, an expanse painted with the sparkling tapestry of unity woven from struggles fought and stories shared. As we commenced our journey toward the stars, the remnants of the past shaped the essence of our future, every struggle etched within us, guiding our steps forward into realms where dreams glittered like distant constellations across the cosmic sea. Together, we marched into the glorious dawn, hearts lightened by the promise of possibility, emboldened against the infinite canvas of stars. A testament to resilience, courage, and the unyielding spirit of life woven into the very fabric of existence. The universe awaited our flight, and we would take it, together,